I'm tired is just going to become a theme for my video. But welcome back to my channel. I have returned from Amsterdam to my home sweet home London, and I am exhausted. I spent 4 days in Amsterdam, but it felt like way longer, but in a good way. And I wanted to talk about my experience in Amsterdam, and I wanted to share some videos with you that I took while I was there. But first, I would like to say that I will be doing parts, so specific experiences like narcotics we had in Amsterdam, I will be just dedicating a whole other video to, because I feel like that would be an interesting story to tell. And I know that that is very well anticipated, and it's a good reason for all of you to subscribe. I feel like I've spent a whole year telling you that you don't have to subscribe, but I would really enjoy if you did subscribe, because I really want to continue doing this. And yeah, thus please subscribe for more content. But I would also like to say that I will not be uploading any parts of the speeches or the panels here, because all of that is in much better quality on the Balie website. And you can find them on Twitter. I am following them, or I should be. If I'm not, I'm going to, because I'm terrible at following people. But please visit their website and please check out the live streams that they did for every single panel and every single event that they did at Balie. I went to a few of the panels on Saturday and every single one on Sunday. So please do check their website out. Please give them a love and a support. If you tweet at them, please tell them that I sent you. It was an amazing event, and we have to thank the organizers at Balie itself, and also Mariam Namazi for setting up such a wonderful event celebrating dissent. It was purely legendary. I don't think that this year will have a better event. And I know that some of y'all are jealous that you didn't get to go, and you should be, because it was an amazing event, and I hope that they put one on next year, and I think they probably will put one on next year. And when they do, please do come, because it felt like one big family reunion. It barely felt like a serious humanist event. It felt like a family reunion where we just talked about all the important things in the world. It was beautiful. It was amazing. The service was brilliant from the Balie staff at the bar, breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything was immaculate, and it could not have gone any better. So I was really, really happy about that. And I just wanted to get those, thanks and those beautiful messages out first before, and for you to subscribe to me for more content out in the beginning, before I went into the tea of my experience. So there's a couple of things that I want to cover in this video, and I want to dedicate a few other things to different videos. I would like to say as a disclaimer that I am in no way, promoting people illegally take narcotics, and the ones that are illegal in your countries. I am in no way doing that. I have to give that disclaimer. But I will dedicate my experience with truffles and weed or marijuana in a different video. It won't be in this video. And again, just to clarify, I am in no way trying to assert that any of you should illegally take these drugs. It is completely legal in Amsterdam to take them, so that is where I did it, and I would advise that you do the same. Do it in Amsterdam. If you're going to do it anywhere, it's one of the most beautiful cities that I have ever seen through a computer screen or in real life. So if you're going to do it somewhere, do it in Amsterdam, because it's legal and because it's beautiful and it's a whole other experience. But I will be talking about that in a different video, because this video is just going to be 1,000 years long if I do everything in this video. So I would just like to talk about Amsterdam and celebrating dissent. So Amsterdam, when I first got in, my biggest mistake in Amsterdam was to not learn some basic Dutch, because all of the signs are in Dutch. Most of the people in central Amsterdam talk English, but as you go further out, which is, I was staying more or less in the like on the border of Amsterdam and Utrecht. I think that's how you say it. But I was staying on the border, and at that, like around that area, not many people speak English. They mainly speak Dutch, and they're very precious about speaking Dutch. So it would have been good of me to learn a few like important things in Dutch. And to be fair, I did download Duolingo, but as with most language apps, they teach you all the bullshit first. Instead of like important things like, hello, how are you? Good morning. How much does this cost? Where can I go to the bathroom? Can I pay for this? How much do I pay for this? Like, I mean, how difficult is that? Just to have like a cheat sheet for everything that you need to say for a 2 to 5 day trip. But I didn't learn any of that, and that made, you know, it didn't make my life completely difficult. Thankfully, Dutch is still like relatively close, like it's a European language, so it was very relatively close. It was close enough to English for me to understand enough to get by. So that was one of my biggest mistakes. But other than that, the city is beautiful. The city is gorgeous. One of the things that I loved the most were the canals. They're beautiful. I have like an affinity for water, and that's one of the reasons why I love that we live on an island, is that we're surrounded by water. And I have an affinity for the sea and rivers and oceans and all of that stuff. So seeing the beautiful canals and seeing like the aquatic birds and the wildlife was really, really refreshing, because we don't really have that in London. I mean, we have the Thames, but I mean, the Thames is a very historic river that people have been polluting for centuries. And I mean, London is my home. It will always be my home, and I love London. The moment I stepped back into London, it was just breathing in that polluted air. It just felt like home. But the Thames is not as beautiful. I'm sorry. It's not as beautiful as the canals in Amsterdam. So that was one of the highlights of my trip. I also really enjoyed the public transport. They have a very similar system. They have the metro, we have TfL here. The metro, to be fair, is not as extensive as the TfL service here, or the Transport for London service here. But Amsterdam is much, much smaller than London. London is a huge city. London is so big it's its own borough. Sorry, not borough, county. It's its own county. So Amsterdam is just like significantly smaller, and easier to get around. Like you can get to places in 30 minutes without even thinking about it. Whereas with London, to go from end to end, it takes about 2 hours. And I've done that journey because I live on one end of London and I have friends who live on the other end of London. It's about 2 hours on public transport and probably about the same time driving. So yeah. And I enjoyed that it was a tiny little town. Something else about Amsterdam is that everything closes, even on a Friday night, I went out on a Friday night. I had dinner with Sahel Ahmed, or Reason on Faith, on a Friday, and like everything closes by like 9 p.m. latest. A lot of places close at like 7 or 8. It's crazy. Like even places where people get dinner, they close really, really early. So that was something that was unexpected, but I mean, you live, you learn. But the city itself, I felt like was super safe. Like I was walking around sometimes at 3 a.m., sometimes at 4 a.m., and not once did I feel threatened in any way. Like being a young single woman in, in a major city, the capital city of that country, it was astounding how safe I felt. The only thing that I was marginally, even just like slightly threatened by, was the bicycles, because in Amsterdam they have really, really wide roads, because they have passageways for cars and buses, and they have a passageway for trams which is connected to like a rail line. So they have that in the middle of the road, and then they also have bike lanes, which are usually the same color as the pavement where people and pedestrians walk. So the only thing that truly, truly terrified me, and I was genuinely terrified of, was being hit by a bike, because they do like 100 miles an hour in that stupid fucking bike lane. And like in Amsterdam, they have just like piles of bikes. Nobody locks their bike. It's just piles and piles of bikes, and you just take them, you go where you have to go, and you just drop them off. It's ridiculous. I think one of the things that we went sightseeing was the red light district, which was really interesting, and that will be in, I will tell that story in a different video because it's related to something else. But we went and saw the red light district. It wasn't that impressive. There were a couple of things that were mildly interesting, but I think what made it the most interesting was that we were high while we were visiting the red light district. It was a complete sausage fest. It was just men everywhere, and they were like just being really inappropriate the entire time. But yeah, I will tell that full story another time. But let's talk about the actual event. Let's talk about celebrating descent at Balie, which is a venue in Amsterdam. It's opposite another venue called the Bulldog, which is known for, you know, it's a coffee shop. It allows people to smoke marijuana inside, and many like famous people have been sighted there just visiting the Bulldog because it's a famous location. But it's opposite the Bulldog, and Balie is this beautiful building. They had these beautiful paintings of like our ex-Muslim feminist icons in there. If I have a picture of them, I will throw them in this video at some point, but they were gorgeous and I really wanted one, but I think they ran out of like the postcard sized ones. They were huge. I would have put them in the background of this video. But yeah, those were gorgeous. And when the first sort of panel that I saw was comedy, Islamophobia, and some like it was around comedy and Islamophobia, and it was talking about blasphemy and, you know, where's the line and do we have to keep pushing the line for freedom of speech and all of that stuff. And Armin Ali Rizvi and a comedian lady was on that panel, and it was brilliant. That was the first panel I saw, and I was blown away by it. It was really good. Armin got lifted into the sky. I will add that video at the end of this. I'm pretty sure I uploaded it to Twitter as well, but I will put like all the videos and stuff at the end of this video, so stay tuned for those. We also had a balloon protest where we had signed the names of people who had been imprisoned or tortured or killed under like these terrible blasphemy laws, or like these blasphemy punishment traditions, these honor killings, and we had attached them to balloons and then carried them around like the center of, like outside Balie. It was like a little city center, and we had, you know, drawn, and I think if I have the picture of it, I'll add the picture of it here, but we had written the names of these people on the pavement as well, just to commemorate them and do that demonstration. It lasted about an hour long. And then later that evening we saw a panel on like women and gods, and there was this really interesting speech about how all the like gods and goddesses originally, like from the oldest one that we can find of an idol is of women, because creation was so related to birth, and women give birth, so naturally the gods assumed the female form. But later, as society became more patriarchal, the narrative changed from birthing people to fabricating people, or like knitting them together and making them, which was more of a man thing. And that entire speech was really interesting. I never wanted that to end. I just wanted it to keep going. But that speech was really interesting. We saw a couple of speeches and panels involving Sadia Hamid, Mariam Namazi. It was amazing. We also saw I guess it's called like an interpretive dance about freedom and, you know, change, and that was beautiful. I don't even think that's being live streamed. Now, I don't think that's part of the live stream, but if it is, you have to see that. It was one of the highlights of Amsterdam, was watching that, like, that beautiful woman dance. And then the next day, after that, we did a thing which I will talk about in another video. But the next day we came back and I actually got breakfast with Carl, and Carl was just an angel the entire time. Carl is our cameraman. He filmed like snapshots of the event so that he can upload it to the Council of Ex-Muslims of Britain. So those videos will be coming up and I will be sharing them as soon as they are up. But he was being an angel the entire time. He was taking care of me. He was doing his work. He was the most overworked of all of us. And I got breakfast with him in the morning, and then I got a spare pass from the Council of Ex-Muslims. So this was the Sunday. I got a spare pass. I think Jimmy had one, and I got to get into all the other like panels and discussions. So that's what we did. We went to every single, or I did, because I stayed in the venue. Some people popped off early because they could not handle what we had done that day. But I had decided to stay for every single panel and every single discussion. And it was brilliant. The best panel was the one where Mimsy or Marwa and Sahel Ahmed were on it. Like, they were talking about families and leaving Islam, and talking about, you know, how they left and, you know, their coming out stories. It was brilliant. It was the best panel of, and I think maybe I'm a little biased because that panel is probably the most relevant to me, but in my opinion, it was the best panel at this event. At Celebrating Dissent, that was the best panel because they were just talking about, you know, opening up to family. And there was also a film at the beginning, but I don't think that will be available on the Balie website, but if I can find it, I will link it. It was by Nazmiye Oral. And that just had me like in tears. It was so beautiful. Like, the entire thing was so beautiful. I could not handle it. I was just like sitting there crying. And then there was also a panel on identity, which Jimmy Bangash was on, and oh, he did so well. I am so proud of him for doing that panel, because it was, I'll tell you about that later, but he did such a good job, and you need to watch that panel. I'm pretty sure it's just called On Identity. So if you can access the live streams, go for it, because why wouldn't you? And then Halima also performed a poem at that on that panel and discussion, and then later on she spoke about the far right. That was in the evening. She did amazingly, and she looked gorgeous doing it. Like, I could not, because I had read her speech from beforehand. I had like proofed through it, so just to like fix it up a little bit, make it like a bit more you know, zhuzh it up a little bit. But then she like presented it, and it was amazing. It was a 10 out of 10 speech. I'm so proud of her. And I'm also really, really excited to see, you know, where she goes with everything. Because as in the last video, I had, you know, presented her, you know, I had exposed her Ex-Muslim Somali Voices campaign that she will be starting soon. It's going to be a podcast / video. She started the YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please go and subscribe. But yeah, she's going to start that very, very soon, and I'm really excited to see what she does with that. And then the next, like, we partied all night. I will talk about that another time. There are 2 other things that I would like to talk about, like in terms of Amsterdam, but I will talk about it in separate videos. Consider this part 1. So yeah, and then the next day we had like an ex-Muslim strategy meeting. We talked about all the things that we would like to see done in the coming years in terms of just like on a global scale, not just for at Balie and in terms of celebrating dissent, but also helping people around the world who are facing some of the issues that we were talking about all weekend. And yeah, it was like, I can't say too much about that, but I am really, really looking forward to seeing those things being put in motion and being a part of those meetings as they, you know, as they progress and we do more. I will be doing another video either today or tomorrow on a campaign that is being started by EXMNA. I won't introduce that now. I will introduce that when I do it. But I'm really looking forward to doing that. So please subscribe, keep your eyes open for that, or, you know, follow me on Twitter because I post all my videos there anyways. Before I go, and before I let you watch all the videos that I have, you know, stashed in my phone and I've kept for this occasion specifically, I would like to say that I have finally started a Patreon. Yes, I know, clap for me, cheer for me. I finally signed up to Patreon, and I would like to say that there is no obligation for you to like fund me in any way, shape or form, but I've spent so much of my life not asking for help when I need it. And I kind of do need it right now because I I've had no work, like consistent work for the last 2 months, and I'm kind of going broke. I mean, I don't think that I'll be, you know, completely bankrupt at any time soon, but I would appreciate a little bit of a bank boost just to keep going. So if you would like to support me, I have a Patreon account. And you can, you know, put in a one-time donation or like a monthly donation. If you'd prefer not to use Patreon, I also have a PayPal direct account, and I would, you know, really appreciate your support if that is something that you would like to do. But, you know, there is no obligation to, you know, I love everyone all the same. And if you do happen to donate and you have a suggestion for my content or for something that you would like me to talk about, depending on like how serious it is, I would love to address whatever you have for me. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoy the videos that I have taken for you coming up. And I will see you in part 2, where we talk about our, you know, adventures in Amsterdam in terms of their snacks and delectables. But I will see you in the next video. I've had such a good time and I'm so ready to share that experience with you. So thank you, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Het volgende station is Amsterdam Rai. Station Amsterdam Rai. Op dit station kunt u overstappen op het metronetwerk van Amsterdam.
Picture. These are the water chickens. That's what Halima calls them. I'm not sure that they're called that.
Please don't say that because a lot of Dutch people will laugh at you.
A lot of Dutch people will laugh at you because they're not actually called water chickens.
I'm not fucking
Welkom. so gorgeous. And then they have like the canal. Who isn't gonna be here and just read? Who's gonna be here and cause trouble? You wonder why we have no stabbings in Amsterdam. We got too many damn fucking canals. Oh, they got like little bits of jewelry. Protest. Page Farouk. I guess I'm holding a balloon. Mara, you've got so many of them.
It's because they're tangled, and the lady said take the whole thing.
Just
We
take the
can't
whole
untangle it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not just being like greedy. Hold on, can you? Sorry.
I think maybe we should go down.
Oh, is that how you vlog? It's really good quality for like a photo.
Yeah, no, I do all my videos on my phone.
Really good. Are you okay? Okay, let's go. Sorry?
It's tangled.
They're tangled. That's why I have them because they're tangled together.
You can have this one. You can have this one. I'm happy to not hold any. Marwa's got all of mine.
Yeah, we'll do it together. Oh, sorry. Yeah? Yes.
Maar zij kan ook zeggen dat ik rond 6 uur klaar ben. Maar op I just don't want to die. Otherwise it could have been just a while. I know, I get your point.
Your one is like
I know, right?
Depleted.
it's depleted.
The balloon.
Oh, you gotta get him excited.
Come on, it's like a leading little dog.
Oh my god, come on balloon. Don't let me
You
die.
gotta perform.
Yeah, I know. I'm having like performance anxiety.
He's had too much to drink. He's had too much to drink. It's deflated.
Are you filming it?
No, I'm filming them. Mara. Mara.
Is yours tangled with mine?
No, no,
Oh,
no.
I thought that was
I
yours.
gave mine away. Because I just wanted to film.
Carl.
Carl? Yeah. There's our cameraman. He's never acknowledged in anything.
Here, I'll get it for you. My right hand.
Literally a manifestation of my love life.
It's just a sinking feeling.
It's just there.
It's still, I mean, it's still floating.
Yeah, it's not giving up. That's
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, we're protesting.
Mara, you gotta stand in the middle. You got the most of it.
It's got really humid, isn't it?
It's gotten a lot more humid.
Where's Sarah?
Jimmy,
Left, didn't she?
where are you going?
Where did I started to look up.
No more.
Oh, no, wait, she's
No more alcohol, guys. Who were they? They look like they were fresh ones.
Yeah, they were. But like, where were you going? All the balloons are over
Really
here.
proud over there.
I started to do the same and I was like, wait a minute, they don't have balloons.
Yeah, mine.
Some banners. It's alright.